on 12 Ounce Sports, presented by Tideway. I am Michael, he is Aaron. Good morning, Aaron. How's your weekend starting off so far? How's your week starting off so far?
I was gonna say, unfortunately, my weekend is over,
Right.
but this is an interesting week for me. I'm starting a new schedule at work to balance this show around it. So I have a 1 day work week. I had 2 days off over the weekend. I have a 1 day work week, and then I have 2 more days off. So it's a rare 1 day work week for me. So I'm kind of excited about that. But I'm here to talk about some sports on Monday morning because that's what we came to do, right, Mike?
That's what I'm talking about. And to start things off, for my Mike Said It First segment, I thought I'd switch it up a little bit and pick a hockey team to root for as we progress into AM Drive. So, in my lifetime, I've kind of rooted for the Red Wings. I kind of rooted for the Golden Knights because I liked their social media team, well, guy until they fired him. And I said I need I even made a Twitter poll that I think the Nashville Predators won. Didn't really care about that. So when this Seattle Kraken team came to be, I thought more and more. I said, boy, wouldn't that be special? AM Drive starts up, Seattle Kraken starts up. I said, you know what? Release the Kraken. I'm a Kraken fan, Aaron.
Well, you know what? I'm happy that we've got a Kraken fan on the show now because as a adopted Golden Knights fan, I got my Golden Knights gear on right
That's
now.
right.
We definitely have a rivalry brewing in the Pacific because the Pacific minus the Vegas Golden Knights and maybe the Edmonton Oilers is a complete dumpster fire right now. So you're actually coming into a team that's got a shot to compete. And my beef when I brought this up, my beef is and 12 ounce guys know on the Twitter chat is you tend to run with the wagon. So I'm hoping you stick to this. I hope we don't
Right.
do another Mike Said It First next year. And you're like, I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan again. Like, I don't care how many teams someone has, but I feel like the biggest thing for me in sports fandom is sticking with the teams that you have declared as your team. So the Kraken need fans, and I bet they're excited to know that Michael Carvelis is one of their newest fans,
Woo!
all the way from Georgia.
That's right. Oh wow, that's complete other side of the country. Interesting.
That's that's okay. You know what? Vegas has a mantra because they were such a hit and got so big so fast. They have a mantra or a hashtag called VGK Worldwide. And I can say this from just talking to people, and there's some Facebook groups that I'm a part of with the Golden Knights. There's people from all over the world who are Golden Knights fans. So it wouldn't shock me if Seattle's successful. Now, I think success is obviously a big key to something like that. But if Seattle's successful, I don't see why they can't also have fans from across the country and across the globe because hockey is a global sport. A lot of people don't think about that, but hockey is definitely a global sport, which was evidenced by the the NHL draft this weekend. I think players were selected from 22, could be wrong on that number, but 22 different countries over the weekend, including the U.S. and Canada, but not limited to those countries.
So Aaron, what do you think about the Seattle's draft and moves so far?
The NHL draft or the expansion draft?
Just the way the Kraken have moved around so far.
So if you listen to Friday's show, or if you haven't, you can catch the replay. We talked to Sinbin. We talked to Ken Bulkey of Sinbin.Vegas, and I was kind of in the same camp as him in terms of what they were trying to do here. I thought I was a little disappointed that they didn't try to grab a big name guy like Carey Price. The fan in me was like, Carey Price is right there, right for the taking. Vladimir Tarasenko, right for the taking. And they went with a lot of guys that I haven't really heard of before. And I follow hockey pretty closely. And Ken and I joked about it. The guy from Philly, and I'd love to see if Philly Pete even knows this guy, but Carson Twarynski, never heard of him. Never heard of him. So, I mean, from a fan standpoint, I'm a little disappointed in what they did. I feel like they went very defense heavy. Now, that could be a strategy because you can't play 12 defensemen. You can only play about seven. So they drafted 12, in my opinion, defensemen that could be good trade options for anybody in the league looking for that. And I know Vegas and Tampa, the two teams I follow the closest, are definitely looking for defensive help. With their cap situations, I'm not sure what they can take on, but I think a guy like Cale Fleury, who's an up-and-coming prospect with Montreal, could be moved before the season started. So if the roster is constructed as is, I'm a little disappointed. Like if they don't make any moves, and this is what opening night looks like in Seattle, actually in Vegas against Seattle. Seattle's opens against Vegas here, and the ticket prices are already skyrocketing right as the schedule was released. But if that's the opening roster that they bring, I'm not gonna feel good about their chances to compete.
So our friend Lou Gamlin, big part of 12 on Sports, he said in a chat with us, I believe, that he likes their defense, and he was the guy who picked the Golden Knights to do well their first year. Any chance the Seattle Kraken can ride the defense this year if things stay the same, obviously?
Well, that was kind of my thought process with this, is they left themselves a lot of cap space based on the draft that they put together. Now, I'm surprised that they went the Chris Driedger route out of Florida. He's not bad. He just wasn't phenomenal. I mean, he's one of the reasons Florida got to the playoffs. But now word's coming out that, Carey Price might be more injured than he originally let on, which is why they didn't take him. So I don't know. The defense is going to have to play an integral role because Chris Driedger's a middle-of-the-road goalie. Vitek Vanacek, who they also got from Washington, he's kind of developing right now. He's not quite there as a polished goaltender. So they've got good goalie options. They don't have great goalie options. So my thought process is, yes, they drafted a lot of veteran defensemen, and they drafted a lot of named defensemen. The defensemen's where I knew most of the names, and except with the exception of a couple guys like Yanni Gourde on the front. But they're going to have to win a lot of games, like 3-2, 2-1. As it stands now, between Jared McCann and Yanni Gourde, after that, they don't have a lot of talented scorers. So, I mean, if you're looking at a betting angle, the only thing I can think of with the over-unders is if Chris Driedger plays well, I look the under because they're not going to score a ton. Now, if Chris Driedger stinks and Vitek Vanacek stinks, then you might look at the over because they might be losing games 7-2.
So, best player on the Kraken right now?
Well, I'm probably biased here, and I'm going to say Yanni Gourde because he's a former Lightning player, and the fact that he's probably going to play the first line here in Seattle, and he was a third-line guy in Tampa. So my thought would be Yanni Gourde here. And I know that sounds very homery as a Lightning fan, but I don't like the thought of Mark Giordano, a 37-year-old person coming, to play defense, even though he's probably the biggest name that most hockey fans would recognize, a former captain in Calgary. I don't like the pick. I feel like he's just a name that some guys will know or fans will know. So, yeah, I mean, it's between Jared McCann and Yanni Gourde, in my opinion, for best player. And I think Yanni just gets a little bit of a sweep because I think he's a little bit more of a scoring threat than McCann.
Well, we have a big show lined up for today. Lots of topics. Aaron, sports always seem to take care of themselves when it comes to making news. And I feel like over the weekend, we have a lot of talking points to get to. What is one of the biggest topics you're looking forward to on today's show?
Well, we've got a lot. Obviously, we're going to talk 3M Open because if you didn't watch it, you should really try to check out the replay. It was an incredible battle with Cameron Champ and the rest of the field. Obviously, we've got college football talk. We've got Olympics talk. We've got Aaron Rodgers, of course, is in the news again. A lot of NFL coming back. Training camps are getting ready to open up. And once the NFL starts, you and I are going to have no shortage of things to talk about. And I know the fans love the NFL. So it's going to be, I'm going to say my favorite thing to talk about because I know it's going to tilt you is the Tom Brady video that was all over Twitter.
And I also watched the movie, so stay tuned for that as well. You're going to want to hear my review on Thunderstruck.
Oh, God.
But, hey, we'll be back, everybody. This is the AM Drive. Drive safe, everybody. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, and welcome back to the AM Drive with Mike and Aaron here on 12 Ounce Sports. We are presented by Vice Golf. And I tell you every show, Vice Golf is rapidly changing the game. I actually, full disclosure, played a golf course out here yesterday. I hit a ball right, went into the desert. I hit a Vice drive and came out with a Vice drive, my ball, and a Vice Pro Plus. So we know they're out there. But they have been rapidly changing the game. It's very simple. Vice Golf makes premium golf balls comparable to Pro V1s, TP5s. You know them. They sell them over the internet, and they sell them, or they ship them directly to you. The balls are as good as any of those Pro V1s, TP5s, etc., and they are a lot less expensive. Please use our special promotional link, which can be found at the AM Drive sponsors page, www.12ouncesportsradio.com/AM Drive sponsors. So we definitely appreciate when you shop there. And someone did the other day, got a nice little commission. I wanted to share that with you. So if you're out there listening to the show and you recently made a Vice Golf purchase, that we thank you. Remember, please use that promotional link because it does help us. Vice Golf takes care of us, and we want to take care of you guys with some great sports talk.
They also have cool hats. I just want to add that. I was looking at hats last night. I'm probably going to have a hat on the show pretty soon if I get the one I want.
Fair enough. I want to talk about the bets I made last Wednesday's show, the 3M Open from Minnesota, from the Twin Cities, TPC Twin Cities. It's obviously not as lush and lavish as the British Open, but we had quite a battle. We had almost the exact same thing as the British Open. You know, Louis Oosthuizen, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, finished second again. But finished second again. But that's not the story, though. The story is Cam Champ. I mean, the guy looked like he was a walking coronavirus. It turns out it was mostly just dehydration. Just really just toughed it out. The shades of 2008 Tiger Woods at the U.S. Open, just having a hard time getting through the course. It feels like, you know, he just gave everything, left it out there, which, I mean, for a golf fan, it's phenomenal. If you look at it from a different standpoint, you're like, dude, it's the 3M Open, man. Just do what you got to do to stay safe. But, you know, Cam Champ is slowly emerging as one of the better golfers on tour. He's got a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. He's got 3 wins on tour, which is triple the amount Louis Oosthuizen has. Doesn't have a major just yet. And if you're looking for a rooting interest to get into golf, he's also one of the few African-American golfers on tour as well. He's not fully African American. He's a half. I don't know what his other nationality is. Yeah, he's a mixed. He's mixed. But he's a great personality, a great follow, and he won his third event, which is, congratulations to him. He defeated a very clumped field behind him. I think 5 to 8 guys were all within one or two. Well, actually 2 at the end, but within 2 strokes. But everybody was really right there at the end, including Louis Oosthuizen. And for him to battle that clumped field and dehydration, again, tip of the cap to a camp champ there for winning the 3M Open. So let's talk about the bets here. The futures bets. Now I'm going to preface this. You're going to hear this a lot with futures bets. They're basically just lottery tickets. Dougie Gammett 50-1 didn't make the cut. Matt Wolff, I think he was 5 under par to finish the day, which was still 10 shots back of winning. Futures bets are just lottery tickets. We don't really take a lot of stock in trying to get them to win. Now, if they do, they're great. Our buddy Ian McMillan hit Cam Champ at 100-1. So I chirped at him on Twitter, gave him a little congratulations. He had a 100-1 ticket. I don't know how much he had on it, but that's not the point. I mean, hitting a 100-1 ticket is
the rich get richer
a lot. So congratulations. I think we just little 3-second clap to Ian McMillan. Yes, golf clap. There you go, golf clap. So Dougie Gammett and Matt Wolff did not come through for us at 30-1 and 50-1 respectively. Another bet I had where I really thought DJ, I gotta say this. I gotta put DJ on the blacklist. I can't bet him anymore right now. He's the number 1, number 2 golfer in the world, but he's a no bet for me right now until he finds whatever's going on with him. The iron play is just not doing well. The putting, which used to be a real big thing, is just taking a step back. Used to be really good for him, but I had DJ over Louis Oosthuizen. As you know, I just talked about it. Louis finished second, so obviously, unless DJ finished first, he can't beat him in a matchup. DJ missed the cut, and Louis is just defying all of my expectations right now. Again, finishing second, playing some great golf. I'm really rooting for Louis to win not only a golf tournament but a major. He deserves it. He does have one major. Ironically, his only PGA Tour victory is a British Open in 2010. So he's won a lot in Europe and things like that. So things do get better, I promise, because the next 2 bets are for the good guys. Sergio Garcia, a guy I love and I hate at the same time, over Keegan Bradley. Garcia started the Sunday 2 behind Keegan Bradley, and Keegan shot 2 or 3 over par, and I think Garcia shot 4 under par that day to finish at 8 under. So thank you, Sergio, because that was actually the one I had to lay the most juice on at -110. So Garcia comes in, we get paid there. And then Matty Wolff comes back into the podcast here, or into the show. I guess we're not in the podcast anymore. But Matty Wolff, if you remember, I told you I'm going to take the plus money because I have no faith in Emiliano Grillo. Matty Wolff with a 5 under par weekend, and Emiliano Grillo misses the cut at +3. So on Friday, we didn't even sweat it. Emiliano Grillo misses the cut, and we don't even have to sweat the weekend. As long as Matt Wolff makes the cut, we are good, and he did. So that +135 comes in, and we made a little money this weekend. We ended up in the positive. Not a huge win, but we ended up in the positive. So, again, kudos to Cam Champ for the 3M Open, and kudos to you if you tailed for a little bit of money to take your girl for a nice steak dinner.
Hey, I think Ian's going to have a couple girls with a couple steak dinners.
Yeah, Ian can probably take out a whole lot
of women
for the next couple of weeks. If he's single. I don't know what his relationship status is. His Facebook says says complicated.
Right. We'll leave that alone.
Yes. So let's talk about Texas, because they do it bigger in Texas, and they might be moving. You were the one that brought this up. I didn't even know what was going on.
So in 2025, which is I guess when the conference contract runs out for football, which I think is a weird thing. Like, you're either in a conference or not. I don't see why. That's a weird concept to me on why that's even a thing. But apparently after that, the Sooners and the Longhorns, 2 of the biggest powerhouses in college football, say, you know what? We're going to the SEC. I'm like, what? And I don't know what to think of this because it's so out there. Like, I've heard of Oklahoma doing it, but for Texas to join them, now granted, it keeps the Red River rivalry still a thing, which was really huge for college football. But that's so. Do you like them leaving the Big 12 and saying, screw it, we're going to the SEC?
Well, yes and no. I think I think that we're headed toward like these large regional super conferences in college football, especially with. I think we're looking at the haves and have-nots, and the SEC is clearly a have. And the thing that scares me and actually makes me excited and scares me at the same time is the Big 12 is going to be looking for scraps. And
Right.
a team that an alma mater of mine, UCF, would probably be one of the first phone calls they make, Cincinnati as well. Another team of rooting interest is Florida State. Florida State has now been the newest rumbling of also joining the SEC. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to that rumor, but I'm curious to know if we're just going to have 4 super regional conferences, because basically we have a 12-team playoff now, Mike. And whatever your thoughts on that are, the 12-team playoff, you're gonna want more teams in there. Now, if we have 3 to 4 major conferences, we have the 3 or 4 conference winners automatic bid into those playoffs, and then we can literally go back to just shitting on the little guy and picking whoever we want out of these conferences. Oklahoma, Texas. Let's not forget, the SEC wouldn't accept these guys if they didn't bring in revenue. They're not going to bring in another Vanderbilt. They're not going to bring in another Kentucky. Now, I understand those guys make money in different sports, but in terms of football, you're not going to bring in these teams unless you know it's good for the brand. And Texas and OU are good for the brand. Now, even if both of them didn't come in 2025 and it was just Texas or just OU, they can still obviously schedule the Red River rivalry every year, because that's a thing that makes college football fans click. They love the Red River rivalry. We love our rivalries, Michigan, Ohio State, etc. But I'm curious to know if the Longhorn Network will then just be absorbed by the SEC network, or if some of these big programs are going to start getting their own networks. Like, we don't have an Alabama network, we don't have a Florida network, we don't have a Georgia network. We have a Longhorn network, and we have. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious.
We have Paul Feinbaum. he's the Alabama network. I'm kidding. I'm so mean. That was a bad joke.
I just don't know how he has time to talk. I mean, all I hear is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're making a new live-action Dumbo about him, too. I'm kidding. So, about the conferences, I want to say for the fans, because this has to be said about the factual part of it, it is possible for them to join the SEC in football and not in basketball, or any other sport, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me. Like I've seen instances of teams where they're with this school, they're with this conference in basketball. Only I don't see, that's a weird concept about that too. That's a fine line to walk. Maybe SEC. I don't say we. Maybe the SEC could give them Vanderbilts to make things more. Here, you guys can have the Commodores.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and the teams like, Tennessee, like Vanderbilt, like Kentucky, et cetera, they're not going anywhere. They know where their bread is buttered.
That's right.
And, the SEC needs cupcakes to beat up on. In terms of the sports in different conferences, usually you see that with guys like Notre Dame or some smaller schools where one of their sports can really boost a conference. A long time ago, I believe the Big East was courting TCU and Boise State, and it was just a football-only thing because the other sports just didn't have the money to travel back to the East Coast. So it's more of a financial situation, and Texas and Oklahoma don't have those kind of issues, and especially anyone in the SEC, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, someone out there probably knows the exact number, but I believe each school in the SEC right now is making like $45 million per year for all sports. So they don't have to worry about teams not having funding because football's taking care of them right now. And I can only imagine that they're opening their arms and their doors to Texas and Oklahoma because that number is just going to increase.
Oh yeah. If you didn't like the SEC before, you're going to hate them completely now by adding 2 gigantic powerhouses, at least in college football. Aaron, you want to talk Olympics for a few minutes before we go to our next break for the next 5 minutes?
Sure. Yeah, I know that we put out a poll. You can probably read the results of that poll for me. The question was, are you watching the Olympics? And it was a very simple yes, no question I put out there because I realized, like, on the Twitter, like, there wasn't a lot of interaction regarding the
Nope.
Olympics, especially after the whole Sha'Carri Richardson thing. So my question was basically this: are you watching the Olympics? And I'll just full disclosure, I haven't watched it at all. At work, the 3v3 women's basketball was on, and I checked it out, and it was kind of cool. But I'm not going to sit down and watch the Olympics. It doesn't interest me anymore.
So for one, I completely agree. And number two, the poll has 3 days left, so you can still vote on it. In fact, I can go ahead and retweet that later on, but just on the page to like refresh everybody's memory. But 52% say no. Like I said no. I mean, I don't know maybe it's because they're not pushing it, or maybe because COVID. You think COVID had anything to do with people's interest? Because obviously it was about to be a big thing until COVID happened. Or maybe there's just not as much polarizing figures like a Michael Phelps. The USA Gymnastics team I know is pretty much. I don't even know if Simone Biles still do that.
She's in it. I was reading a little bit. They took a little bit of a stumble in the I don't know if it's the qualifying or again I don't know exactly where they're in, but things didn't go so great. But you're right. In past years, we've had Michael Phelps, we've had Usain Bolt, we've had Michaela Maroney and her pouty face. We've had stars, I guess you could say, and we've been on a better time zone. I mean, we're talking 18 hours. I mean, I think Monday is almost over for them while we sit here and do the AM.
So I was looking at an article. I'm glad you mentioned Michaela Maroney. This is a little side story here. I was looking at an article about like the NFL uniforms we'll get to in the next segment. And it said, "Where's Michaela now?" I said, "Huh, let me click on this. I'm a sucker." So I clicked on it. Apparently she's just some singer now. I'm like, oh, what? Oh,
that I didn't know. I know she's in that Geico commercial where she
that was funny.
does
That was funny.
flip up onto the roof and then she does her little famous pouty face. That's a pretty good commercial. I like that. I like the guy. Thank you, Michaela.
You're right. Yeah, free sponsorship, by the way. You're welcome, Geico. I had to say that. But and also I want to touch on USA basketball, Aaron, because I feel like it's only fair. I'm going to review the movie Thunderstruck, but God forbid Kevin Durant. What the heck's going on, dude? Someone made a point, like, I think you told me this, that, like, now Kevin Durant's going to join Team France.
Yes, Kevin Durant has joined Team France in pursuit of the gold medal.
I don't care what anybody says about, like, who's not playing this year. Here's the deal. Kevin Durant, I guess Devin Booker has arrived now. Bam Adebayo, that's good enough to win gold to me. And that's no disrespect to all of the other countries. Now, granted, shout out Luka Doncic while we were sleeping at like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Apparently, Luka scored 48 points in his first ever Olympic game, and it was like the second most ever. Like, what? And they actually beat Argentina, which is a pretty good team. So that happened. But I mean, shout out Luka. Yeah. We don't have Luka.
Yeah, Luka is a freak of nature. He's going to be dominating these. He's kind of like the Manu Ginobili of, where's he at, from Latvia or
Slovenia.
Serbia or wherever he's
from. The kid from Slovenia.
Slovenia, yeah. Yeah, so listening to Dan Beyer and George Reister on Fox Sports Radio yesterday, and Dan Beyer telling everyone to shut up and stop picking on USA basketball. Why do you guys always just expect them to win? Because they're the best. They have professional freaking athletes, and they've got probably 2 of the guys in the top 10 in the NBA. You're right. Bam Adebayo, Kevin Durant,
Damian Lillard,
whoever, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal's there. Correct me if I'm wrong. That should be plenty.
That's still plenty.
But and you know what? And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. I know we don't have a lot of time left. You know, I don't follow basketball a lot, and people know that, and I'll make that known a lot. But everybody's saying Kevin Durant is the best basketball player in the NBA. And is better than LeBron? No, get the hell out of here. I don't love LeBron, but get the hell out of here. Get out of here.
So,
and you know what? And maybe he is on a talent level, but he has no drive. He has no willingness. He has no killer instinct. And at least LeBron had some of that, despite the fact that I think he is a little, soft. But he still has the drive. He still has some of the drive that MJ had. And I just don't see that in Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, like, people talk about, he's such an assassin. Like, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of take a step back sometimes and just let it happen. Like, I don't see. Well, you gotta want it, dude. I mean, I think they blew a 12-point lead in that game too. In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I still think they're pretty safe to win the gold.
Nah.
So we'll have to follow USA basketball. But let's go ahead and take another commercial break because we got NFL talk in the third segment. And don't forget, Kevin Durant makes a reappearance in the fourth segment on Mike's movie review of the week. So stick around, stay tuned, grab your coffee. We'll be back on the other side. NFL talk. Will Aaron Rodgers retire? Find out next.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, and once again, welcome back to the AM Drive with Mike and Aaron, presented by 12 Ounce Sports. And we teased you a little bit on the other side with the Aaron Rodgers retirement drama. But first, I want to talk about Fanatics.com, another sponsored affiliate of ours. Please check them out at 12ozsportsradio.com/AM Drive sponsors. If you or those sports fans in your life are looking for gear, they got you covered. Every team, every league, every player, they've got the apparel and merch and memorabilia to ensure that you and yours are showing your team pride each and every game day. The AM Drive, again, proud sponsors of affiliates of Fanatics.com, so please use our promotional link, again, at 12ozsportsradio.com/AM Drive sponsors today, or you can email us at 12ounceamdrive@gmail.com. We will happily provide that link for you. Thank you very much for your support, and pick up your gear at Fanatics today. Aaron Rodgers.
Before you go, Aaron, to talk about Aaron, I want to tell you, I have a surprise jersey I'll wear in maybe a week or so on the show that I picked up because it was 70% off on Fanatics. I used our link.
Let's see. Who was it? Was it Aaron Rodgers?
No, he's not switching teams yet. We'll see.
All right, fair enough. We'll have to be surprised when you rock it whenever it gets shipped. So, but again, 70% off right now. I think they've got one more day on that sale. If you're listening to this topically, if you listen to this live or very briefly after the show, 70% off with code 59CHIP. And please use our promotional link. Again, if you go to AM Drive sponsors on 12ozsportsradio.com/AM Drive sponsors, just click the Fanatics logo. It'll take you right to our affiliate link. It doesn't cost you a penny more. So for that, we thank you. All right, Aaron Rodgers. Sportsbooks here in Vegas, there's some rumors going out. I talked to a guy who writes for the local paper, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, my buddy Todd Dewey, and he's talking about the sportsbooks really believe that it's either get traded or retire right now. They've taken down futures bets on Green Bay. They've taken down division bets on Green Bay. They've taken win totals off the board. This is seeming to get more and more real, but you're shaking your head.
I know you probably have a take on it too, but I find it extremely hard to believe the way Aaron Rodgers has played this that it just ends in retirement. I get like if he could get ticked off at the Packers eventually, but I don't see this dude saying, "Well, screw my career," because of a little contract. That seems weird to me. I don't buy that for maybe a second. I'll buy it, but I don't buy much more than a second. Whoa. Did your AirPods go out on you, sir? Okay, you're good.
No,
You're good.
I need to click the mute button. I clicked it because I had to, like, I thought I had a sneeze coming, but but then I didn't unclick it. Okay, well, we're back now. Now I'm not like a shadowy mime character with no voice. You know my thoughts on this. I think Green Bay has no choice at this point but to hold serve. Let him retire. Let him retire. You get money back. You're going to lose Davante Adams, fine, whatever. You know, Davante Adams is a great receiver, but receivers grow on trees. You know, I'm not saying you could get 3 guys to catch 15 touchdowns like you can get Davante Adams to do the same thing, or 17 touchdowns, whatever. You build from the inside out. They have a good line. They have 2 really good running backs. Jordan Love was going to have growing pains if that's the case. Let him retire. Do not trade him, because if you trade him, you are signing your pink slip.
Yep. So from an organizational standpoint, I agree that's a good idea.
But as a fan,
well, from an organization, but as a fan, obviously I hate it. But from an organizational standpoint, you're 100% correct on that.
It's too late to trade him. I think if the only thing you could have done is if you could have said, look, we wanted to, you know, Aaron Rodgers gave us 16, 17 great years. We appreciate the memories. I know he wants to go find a situation that, you know, is better for him, because he can't say, I want to go chase a ring, because the Packers were part of the Final Four 2 years in a row. And they probably should have made the Super Bowl if it weren't for a couple of questionable calls and, you know, not capitalizing on Tom Brady's 3 interceptions.
Yep.
They should have been in the Super Bowl. I mean, look, I'm a Bucs fan, but I'll be honest. Brady gave them the opportunity to win that game, and they didn't take advantage of it. So I really am curious what Aaron Rodgers' beef is, or who Aaron Rodgers' beef is with. I mean, they've brought him in Jordy Nelson. They brought him in Davante Adams. They brought him in weapons. They brought him in running backs. Yes, they drafted Jordan Love. But are you that butthurt? Are you that butthurt about them not consulting you when they drafted a quarterback? They didn't consult Brett Favre when they drafted you.
So I've watched a little bit on the Pat McAfee show with Aaron Rodgers and AJ. Aaron Rodgers was on all NFL season, and AJ Hawk has been on a lot too, former teammate. I believe Aaron Rodgers hasn't made it as clear, but AJ Hawk and really because some of Aaron's friends have said Jordan Love was just the cherry on top of the crumbling pudding or whatever. But they said that it definitely escalated things, but it had already been building up in his mind that he was kind of pissed off. And God knows for what. I wish he wouldn't be so dramatic with it. But it definitely was. I guess that was the beginning of the end that was already starting to come about.
And someone please let me know what was going on. I mean, they've been a quality team. They've had quality talent. I know it's really hard to get free agents to come to Green Bay, so you have to draft well. And when you have a guy like it's you know, you're not going to like this, but it's a tale of 2 quarterbacks, tale of 2 egos. The Patriots and Tom Brady continuously took pay cuts to build teams around them, and they weren't the greatest drafters, but they found hidden gems. They found free agents at the right price. They let egos walk. And Aaron Rodgers is the complete opposite. And who's got 6 Super Bowl rings with the Patriots? Tom Brady does. Aaron Rodgers sits here. He wants $38 million. He wants more money. He wants more money. Well, we know as fans, the more money you take against the cap, the less money you have to sign a competitive team. And they've still been competitive because of Aaron Rodgers. You know, if Aaron Rodgers came out tomorrow and said, look, drop me down to 22, 23 million against the cap, I'm sure that the GM of the Packers, however you say his name, Gutekunst or whatever, would be on the phone trying to make trades, trying to sign anybody off the street, just like the Bucks did last year. They would be going after everybody, but they don't have the money or the ability. They're paying Devontae Adams, they're paying Bakhtiari, they're paying Aaron Rodgers a very sizable chunk of this cap, and Aaron Rodgers has nobody to blame but himself for the Packers not having the ability to sign top tier players.
So I don't want to take too much longer on this part because obviously it kind of writes itself, and you're right about the Brady with the Patriots thing. I also want to say that there's a fine line that modern athletes walk with I want to win and this organization treats me like crap versus, oh, but you took a bunch of money and so they can't help you win. Like, I don't think players realize, well, I need money and I want to provide for my grandchildren, but that literally detracts from you being a champion. Very few times, like, I think the Chiefs, didn't they win it on the contract that Mahomes was not under? There's like a
they wanted
stat
a rookie
that, like,
deal.
The last few quarterbacks to win it do not get paid well. It's a fact.
Well, there's basically two schools of thought when it comes to building a contender. Yes, you find a quarterback who can win you one on his rookie deal. Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, guys like that. Or you find a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, and you don't need top-tier players. You can take middle-tier players at a reduced cost, and that great quarterback will get you to the mountaintop. You can't have a guy who takes all the money and then have no ability to sign middle-tier players either. I don't think they have a bad team. Jair Alexander, great quarterback. They have a great cornerback. They have a pretty good defense. I don't see the problem in Green Bay. I really don't. Whatever is the cherry on top with Jordan Love, whatever is the rest of the sundae, we're not privy to. So if there's something coming out that, maybe they handled him wrong when he was injured, when he had the broken collarbone, we don't know these things. So for fans, and this is my last take, for fans to just blindly back Aaron Rodgers because they hate the man, it's all utter crap. I'm generally player based or player back, but this one, sorry man, just retire, go away. I don't give a damn anymore. Go away.
One of the guys who I wish would retire is Tom Brady. I'm kidding, I don't. Tom Brady released a video that is pretty obviously photoshopped, showing him literally throwing a ball from 10 yards away. And every last news outlet saying, look at the GOAT doing GOAT things. I'm like, do they realize, one, he did not edit the video, and two, I'll say it again, it's 10 yards away to, guess what, a wide open target. Who knew? Your thoughts, Aaron?
My thoughts are you didn't dispute that he's not the GOAT.
So I have a confession to make on the AM Drive. I never really said this actually on any of my shows before. I don't think there is a greatest quarterback of all time. I think fans want one to be there, but I think there's so many quarterbacks, like be a talent or the whole context thing works for me in basketball. There's so much that goes. I don't think Tom Brady is in my GOAT conversation, but I could see why if you could say he's one of like 3 or 4 awesome quarterbacks of all time, I would be more okay with that than saying he's clear and distinct the number one guy.
Yeah, I mean, we could have that first take debate style here with this for the next 5 shows on that one. You know my thoughts on it. But, yeah, the video was obviously Photoshopped. I think a lot of the guys with the blue check marks really posted that tongue-in-cheek, knowing the video was fake. It obviously looks fake. But, yeah, you can definitely dupe the American public with these Photoshopped videos. I thought it was
pretty good Photoshop, though.
I actually thought it was fake when I saw the UCLA end zone. I'm like, what's he doing in Los Angeles? This doesn't make any sense. What's he doing there? I just don't I don't have a problem with the video. I obviously knew it was fake, but I actually thought Tom Brady kind of had some swagger in that video. That's what I took away from.
There's 2 things that I want to get to that you wrote down on our topics that I love. One is the vaccine. The second one is the uniform. Like the throwbacks, because I think those are huge topics. What is your take on, let's say, I believe the defensive some coach, I believe it was in Minnesota, got fired for saying he's not going to get vaccine. Your thoughts on that? There's a lot of things to talk about right there.
Yeah, so vaccine topics are obviously a hot button issue here in America, and I don't want to go too down the rabbit hole. You look at both sides here. Rick Dennison has every right to decline the vaccine. We all have that right. You can have your research, you can have your medicine. At the end of the day, if you don't want to do something, we shouldn't have to force you to do it. And I have a real big issue. A lot of people are talking about wanting to have people produce vaccination cards. Well, this is going to be I'm going to say it, but I shouldn't. Remember when Hitler made us identify the Jews? So just be careful with the road you go down. Rick Dennison has every right to not want to work for the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings have every right to, or Rick Dennison has every right to not want to take the vaccine, and the Minnesota Vikings have every right to say take a hike. So in that spot, I have no problem. Full disclosure, I am fully vaccinated, so my beliefs, are what they are, even despite the fact that I've taken the vaccine. I wasn't super, into taking the vaccine, but I did it because I think it made life a lot easier for myself and a lot of people, and especially my family, which is fine. But if somebody doesn't want to get the vaccine, I have no issues. I have no complaints. But at the same time, you work for a company, and if that's what they want, if that's what the NFL is forcing them to do, I got no problem. As long as he can live with it, I don't see the reason that everybody on Twitter needs to send him death threats, make fun of him, ridicule him, insult his family. I think that shit's over the line, and it needs to stop. But it's Twitter, and it's just a bunch of caged animals behind their phones, so it's never going to stop. The situation with Dak, I think he made a mistake, and with what he said, and whether he's vaccinated or not, it's not our business. That's between him and his team and the NFL. If he all of a sudden gets cut because he's not vaccinated, we'll find out real quick in the news, won't we? So I've taken up a lot of time on this topic, so I'll leave it the rest to you.
I mean, there's nothing else to say because you hit the point I was going to make. Is that basically, long story short, they have the right to say no, and that's completely fine. The teams have the right also to say get lost, and I think there's no other way around that. Although I don't think we should have to say, well, have you been vaccinated? I get that, but if you get fired, we're kind of going to have to know anyways. But teams have the authority to say that, and so does the league. If they want, that's how they keep people safe, like you said. If that's how you hang out with friends legally, so be it.
Well, maybe he hasn't gotten vaccinated yet and plans to, but if he says, no, I'm not vaccinated right now, it becomes a huge issue.
Right, or he's wearing a yellow armband like the Steelers do. Aaron, so I looked up these uniforms, the 1994 49ers throwbacks, the 75th anniversary Browns uniforms, the whoop-de-doo Colts 1956 throwbacks. I swear to God, we don't have any good uniforms, and the Rams modern throwbacks. Aaron, I did a poll on Twitter on the AM Drive. I want to get your thoughts first on who you think has the best one, because I know what I thought was a runaway for me.
Well, I can say this, and this is more of a nostalgic thing. It's a runaway for me, and anybody who disagrees is just absurd. The first real game I ever watched, and the first memory I have of the NFL, is the '94 Super Bowl against the Chargers, where Steve Young and Jerry Rice just went ham on the Chargers, and they beat them by like 4 or 5 touchdowns. And I just remember that red with the white numbers and the black trim. It's just, those are some of the most incredible jerseys with the golden domes. It's got to be, for me, it's a no-brainer, the '94 throwbacks.
I think that's the third best. So here's my thing. What was biting me? Something was biting me. That was weird. My room is clean. So, I want to first say the 49ers. The white pants, they were too white this time around. I get like the throwback look. It would have looked a lot cooler if the pants were not as like in your face. We have white pants. I was like, man, what the heck is Nike doing over there? But I actually thoroughly enjoyed the team that did get third place on our poll, the Rams modern throwback. I thought that thing was clean looking. The colors were perfectly coordinated in the right spots. Colts didn't get any. They got 0%. Congrats, you freaking idiots. We suck at uniform design. We suck at marketing. That's why there's like 5 Colts fans in this entire area of the country. And I thought the Browns the coolest thing about them was they had the little thing, the number on the uniform, but that was about it for me. But whatever.
Yeah, I think for me it's 49ers, Colts,
Oh,
Rams, and Browns. I like the stripes. I like the clean look.
I mean, we look the same as we
That's
did last year. It's just, well, the stripes are here instead. I don't. It's weird.
It's a good
Thank
look.
you. It means a lot. When we come back, guess what? It's time for another movie review. So Kevin Durant made a movie called Thunderstruck. After this commercial, I'll tell you how good or bad it was, and where does it rank with the Space Jam 1 and 2 movies. You might be thunderstruck. Welcome back! The morning is almost over, at least here on the East Coast, and you might be going on lunch break soon. Aaron Lilly's about to go to work along with his buddies on the West Coast. So thanks for watching or listening live if you did, and if not, wherever you are right now, what's going on? Aaron, good show today. What was your favorite topic so far?
I mean, I'm always loving to talk golf, and I always love to talk the NFL. But actually, I think my favorite topic that we discussed was the Olympics. I really am curious, and you can head on over and check out our poll. We got a couple more days to vote. I really am curious if people still watch the Olympics. There's a lot of new events that are obviously trying to attract, trying to attract new viewers. I mean, they have surfing, they have skateboarding. They brought baseball back, which actually should make me want to watch the Olympics, but so far not yet. I think my big beef with the Olympics is just when it's over in the East like that. It's just I don't want to watch a tape delay when Twitter ruins it.
Oh, so I think that's a huge thing. We didn't even touch on that earlier. We wondered, like, we were kind of shooting ideas back and forth on why nobody watched it. We brought up the polarizing figures. I think tape delay is freaking huge. Like, just let me watch this thing at 2 in the morning. Or here's an idea: let the athletes have to play at 2 in the morning. Maybe that's selfish.
That's not happening.
But we're the fans. I want to get to this real quick before I get to my movie review. Tuesday nights on the Captain Lou Extravaganza from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Captain Lou begins his previews of the upcoming NFL season by looking in the NFC and AFC East. Blah. He didn't tell me to do that, but I put that in there. His guests include Jesse Martin, host of the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, to talk the Washington football team. Tim Ham and Cheese, just Tim Ham, covering the Cowboys from SI Now. And Bobby Thompson of Fansided, not Bet-Sided, Aaron, Fansided this time, talking New England Patriots. And John Sparacco, covering the Buffalo Bills. They're supposed to be good for ColdFrontReport.com. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, live on the Captain Lou Extravaganza, 8 to 10 Eastern on 12 Ounce Sports. Anything to add before the movie review?
Nope. I think I'm excited to listen to Lou and the Captain Lou Extravaganza because NFL season is upon us. Even if we're not actually playing the games yet, the NFL is here.
Oh, and Pete's Power Play starts back up tomorrow. It's Tuesday again, so another new week of Pete's Power Play. Should be fun. He's getting a lot more into NFL fantasy now. And he also has heard of the Mike Likes to Kraken. That was early in the show. Okay. So I watched Thunderstruck reluctantly because I was like, there's no way. Like, I have never even heard about this movie before. Went on YouTube. I had 48 hours and paid $3. I had 48 hours to watch after paying $3. Was not going to buy it. And I almost wanted to buy it. So here's what this movie did Unlike Space Jam and Space Jam: A New Legacy, Warner Brothers decided not to focus on the terrible acting of the basketball player. Now, granted, I actually believe that KD, maybe it was because he was playing a jerk almost the entire movie, and like he had to like do a lot of sarcastic quotes. That's kind of what he's good at. Is hey, I'm a bad guy and I hate everybody. I get that, but they had so many good actors. They had like one big name actor. I wish I remembered his name. I know you would know him. One big name actor, and they had a lot of pretty good actors. There wasn't a bunch. There wasn't 1,000 cameos. There wasn't $10 million spent on CGI. It was just really good movie with a really cool story. And despite what people on YouTube say, well, it was just like Mike. No, the kid literally wished he was like Kevin Durant because he sucked at basketball. And somehow that wish came true. But it has love, it has pride. It has a really cool storyline, actually. There's a lot more basketball in it than Space Jam ever had in two movies combined. I gave Space Jam a 6.5. I gave Space Jam 2 a 5.5. I give this movie an 8.5. It was by far better than those two. I was blown up. Maybe it's because I had too low of expectations, but I was sincerely impressed with how funny, like genuinely funny it was. It was probably I thought Uncle Drew with Kyrie Irving was pretty good. Was pretty decent. This movie is by far the best basketball movie I've seen. I was shocked.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You might have actually convinced me. I actually like the movie Like Mike with Lil Bow Wow.
Yes. Like I was saying, like the people, they were saying because this guy got electrocuted like by chance by like the power line or whatever, that's why it was the same. To me, the wish coming true, I could buy that. Like I cannot buy the Space Jam story of walking in and randomly getting lost in sea. That's just weird to me.
Well, I mean, you have to kind of turn your reality brain off when it comes to movies. So, fair enough. I kind of like the fact that they pulled Michael Jordan through a golf hole.
That was clever.
Yeah, I don't remember. How did LeBron get pulled into Looney Tune World? Oh,
just walked into a door. Yeah.
Yeah, walked into. Yeah, so yeah, that's fair. That's a little less believable, I guess you could say. So I don't know. You may have convinced me to watch it. If it's ever on TV, which I highly doubt it will be, I'll take a look.
I want to make it clear, Kevin Durant was not a bad actor. I feel like he was actually better than Michael Jordan, LeBron James. So like he was a little bit more natural. And his mom showed up and was actually pretty funny. She was there for like a good 5 minutes for one scene. That was a spoiler. Damn, I hate that. I should have done that. But I mean, it's not a big spoiler. Just she showed up, which is kind of cool. This movie just had such a cool storyline because the kid, when he gets the powers or the talents, like Kevin Durant starts scoring like 3 of 67 in like his last 10 games or whatever, because that's how bad the kid was before. And then Kevin Durant, and then this kid like becomes the talk of Oklahoma. It was a great story.
So is it like a Freaky Friday kind of thing?
Yes.
Where they like switch
good
bodies?
Idea. That's basically like they switch talents, and like the kid's like always getting picked on, but the kid takes the talent like he gets prideful, so he starts losing his friendship with his buddy, who's always been there. He starts losing the girl that he liked, like was super popular, suddenly does not like him because he is becoming a you know what hole.
Oh, so he gets a little arrogant, gets a little cocky. And to be fair, when did this movie come out?
It was right after, I believe it was 2012, because it was right before Kevin Durant went to the finals, and they actually have LeBron in a number 6 Heat jersey. I believe it said 2011, 2012.
All right. So to be fair, you can't really have spoilers in a movie that's 9 years old, because if they haven't seen it yet, they ain't going to see it. So you didn't spoil
There's no crazy twists and turns, but there's no like super big cameos where they have to pay a bunch of money. They clearly focus on the script, and the movie is pretty funny. The back and forth between Kevin Durant's agent and him is pretty funny.
I'll tell you what, I will watch it if you can find me a free stream link.
I might just give you my YouTube password. I'm not lying. It's not a bad movie.
Fair enough. Maybe I'll check it out.
Hey, shout out Amazon Fanatics, Tide We, MyBookie.ag. We love you guys, and hey, hope you enjoyed your drive today. Hope we made it a little bit better. Aaron, say goodbye to the people for us.
I will say goodbye. We appreciate you guys listening. Also, don't forget about Amazon, 12ozsportsnetwork.com/Amazon. We are out. We will see you on Wednesday with the AM Drive. Featuring Mike and Aaron.
Bye.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to my 187th show on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, everyone. Only 13 more shows to go until number 200. The countdown really starts getting going on. Live in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Hope you're all excited for a wonderful show today, but it's going to be fun, very smooth, and collective. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot be more happy enough to say that the first show this past Friday with the Glenn and Mike Sports War was a complete success. Yes, it was a success. Not only was it a success that I scared the living daylights out of Michael Crazy Corvallis from the opening start, I would like to also say that I defeated him 30-29. There will be more L's on that column coming up for him and more W's for me. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you choose Team Mike, you're choosing L's and sloppiness, and the fact he almost forgot to show up to the show, and the fact he was almost scared of me. Let's just hope that he can actually bring his A game next week, because I won it at the buzzer last week. Actually, not only did I have to beat Michael Corvallis, and I have no shame sharing this on my show, and I had to ask Beck if he was ringing in for Mike, so I kind of felt like I was playing a 2-on-1 a little bit, but that's okay. As they say, they call the great sports analyst, gotta overcome the obstacles, right? So not only did I beat one opponent, I technically beat two opponents on Friday. Don't worry. Hopefully more W's are coming. If you missed the last Friday show, don't worry, it's coming again this Friday. Now let's get into business. Let's start with today's NHL draft weekend and trades. So the first round of draft was on Friday. I'm going to read to you now what the picks were. I'll give you my quick thoughts on them and also the trades that happened to go down. Number 1 in the Buffalo Sabres. I'm not giving any grades on this. I'm not being a grader here. This is not my professor time, Mr. Dr. Professor Glenn Kaplan here with grading all these courses. I'm just basically giving this a free pass at your will. Let's start with number 1, the Buffalo Sabres, Owen Power defenseman, Michigan. Big, tall defenseman. Everyone's comparing to Victor Hedman, but then there are people like, don't compare this guy to Victor Hedman. There was a joke going around out on Twitter and all others memes on Facebook when the Buffalo Sabres took Owen Power number 1 overall. And the joke was, Owen 82. Yeah, the Buffalo Sabres are not going 0-82. That's barely impossible. But this team needs to find a direction they want to go, and I know they're trying to trade away Jack Eichel, the Harpy Hartzell of the Buffalo Sabres for now, but it's very well that he may not be with the team much longer. I know the New York Rangers, Minnesota Wild, Anaheim Ducks, and other teams have been in play for him. Number 2, the Seattle Kraken, Matthew Berners, center, Michigan. Not a surprise. Berners, this was the projected one too. With the Seattle Kraken going very heavily in defense in the expansion draft, this makes a ton of sense. A future top 6 centerman on the first or second line. We will see if he cracks Seattle this year. It remains to be seen. Number 3, the Anaheim Ducks, Mason McTavish, center, Peter Burrow. The Anaheim Ducks need the best players possible it could possibly get in its rebuild. They're still a few years away from making the playoffs, even though you got guys like Jamie Gise down the fence and Trevor Zegras and Sam Steele and Troy Terry. They're just trying to plug away the best players as possible here. Number 4, the New Jersey Devils, Luke Hughes, defenseman, USA U18, the youngest brother of 3 of Jack Hughes, the centerman of the New Jersey Devils, who is extremely happy that he gets to be playing alongside with his brother. That is fantastic. The fact that Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes get to play together is instant chemistry right off the bat. And poor Quinn Hughes, the middle brother of the 3, is out all the way on the West Coast with the Vancouver Canucks. So, it's a win for the New Jersey Devils, a future number 1 pairing of Luke Hughes and Ty Smith. That team is heading in the right direction. And do not touch anything with their rebuild. Alexander Holtz, who was their number 1 pick last year, may be coming in the NHL this year. This team's looking bright. I'm going to give it another 2 or 3 years until they're completely relevant again. I said, as I mentioned in the past, you see the way the Carolina Hurricanes were building the way they are now? That's what the New Jersey Devils are going to be looking like by the year 2024, 2025 rolls around. A dangerous team to play against. That's what I think. With youth, speed, and talent. Number 5, Columbus Blue Jackets. Kent Johnson, center, Michigan. I thought he was going to go in the top 10. I wasn't expecting Columbus to take him to top 5. But Columbus needs offense. They lack it, especially in their farm system. They're trying to rebuild. So, and the one thing about taking all these Michigan players is this. Michigan would have won the NCAA tournament in hockey, the Frozen Four, had it not been for coronavirus issues, and they had to drop out of the NCAA tournament because of it. So, Columbus, with finishing one of the worst records in the NHL last year, has to find its identity for the near future. We're getting rid of John Tortorella as the head coach. And that's where I think they're going to be going with this. So, number 6, to the Detroit Red Wings, Once again, Simone Edvinsson, defenseman for London Jr. Something tells me that general manager Steve Yzerman has an obsession of scouts with choosing guys from Frölunda Jr. Didn't he do that in the last year's draft, 2 in the year before? With Lucas Raymond and Mortis Seider? The fact that Steve Yzerman, remember the Russian 5 with the Detroit Red Wings? Is this going to be the Sweden 5 that he's trying to build with the Detroit Red Wings? What is he going to be building, an evil empire next? He was the architect of the Tampa Bay Lightning team, even though he was not the general manager, it was Julien Brisebois. I'm telling you, the Theo Epstein of the National Hockey League is Steve Yzerman. He is the architect. He is the Theo Epstein of hockey. And I know Theo Epstein broke curses, but there is no curses broken by Yzerman. It's just that he's a hockey building, constructing mastermind. Number 7, San Jose Sharks. William Eklund, left winger, Djurgården. The Sharks, another team that's in a complete and utter rebuild. The San Jose Sharks are still years away from being relevant again. Number 8, Los Angeles Kings, another team with a loaded prospect pool. Brandon Clark, a defenseman from Barrie. Number 9, the Arizona Coyotes in a monstrous trade from the Vancouver Canucks, which sent Oliver Ekman-Larsson from Arizona to Vancouver. Jay Beagle was also sent back in that trade. And Vancouver, this was originally Vancouver's pick, but went to Arizona. Dylan Guenther, right winger, Edmonton, loved the pick, a complete sniper, an offensive juggernaut. Arizona needs as many as possible, but the organization is a complete and utter dumpster fire right now. Number 10, the Ottawa Senators. Tyler Boucher, right winger, USA U18. He is the son of former NHL goalie Brian Boucher, who is now going to be an NHL analyst on ESPN. It was with NBC and NBCSN last year. Number 11, the Arizona Coyotes. That was actually a forfeited pick. Number 12, because of the whole, there was a situation with the Arizona Coyotes and all sorts of scandals. That's why they had to forfeit that pick. Now, number 12, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Cole Sillinger, center Cedars Falls. I like what Columbus did with their first 2 picks. You take centermen, you take depth down the middle, offensive juggernauts. That's what in order to win in the National Hockey League, you need an identity on defense and goaltending. They had that with Jonas Korpisalo and Elvis Merzlikins, but you need centermen and goal scoring and guys to win faceoffs. Remember, this is what, and a credit to the World Hockey Report, especially guys like Cody Janssen. They talk about, more importantly, every time on Twitter when they're talking about the Vegas Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken, they're talking about how it is important to have play down the center of the ice, because without that center play, it is hard, especially with a 200-foot game, it is hard to win a National Hockey League if you don't have that. Number 13, the Calgary Flames. Matthew Coronato, right winger from Chicago. Number 14 in the Buffalo Sabres. Isaac Rosen, right winger, Leksand. Number 15, Detroit Red Wings, Sebastian Casa, goaltender, Edmonton. With the fact that the Detroit Red Wings, they just traded for Alex Nedeljkovic from the Carolina Hurricanes. And what in the high seas are the Carolina Hurricanes smoking? Number 1. Why would you give up potentially your best goalie that you've had since Cam Ward, and you trade them all away for basically a bag of potato chips and basically for this bottle of water? What in the high seas, if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, are you doing? And once again, the genius and the Albert Einstein and Detroit Red Wings general manager Steve Yzerman strikes again. And you draft a goalie to develop for the next 3 years, so this is smart. Nedeljkovic could be a bridge gap. And if he doesn't work out for Detroit, well, then you got the Sebastian Casa goalie who could potentially work out for them in the long run. Remember, the last time Yzerman drafted a goalie in the first round was from Russia in 2012 and Andrei Vasilevsky. Yeah, I think that worked out for Tampa Bay Lightning as the best goalie in the NHL. So, yeah, I think that's worked out for them pretty well. Number 16. New York Rangers select Brennan Othmann, left winger from Flint. Number 17, the St. Louis Blues select Zachary Bolduc, center Rimouski. I like the pick for St. Louis. They are an old-school physical hockey team. They need strength up the middle and need some offensive pop. Bolduc gives you that. Number 18, the Winnipeg Jets. Chaz Luchis, centerman, USA U18. And it appears as if the United States U18 team and all across the developmental leagues are doing a wonderful job because the USA in hockey, in developmental terms, has come such a long way from when the USA first started getting all these great players. Number 19 in the Nashville Predators. Fyodor Svechkov, centerman Togliatti. Number 20 in the Minnesota Wild, Jesper Wallstedt, goalie Lula. And I thought Wallstedt was going to be the first goalie off the board and not Sebastian Casa. So I think the Wild at number 20 get a steal here. Yeah, I know you have Kaapo Kähkönen, who I thought actually showed some signs of potentially being the future goaltender of the Minnesota Wild last year. But if this draft pick tells me that the Minnesota Wild want this player and Jesper Wallstedt Lula to be the future, the fact that he was taken, that mock drafts had him going in the top 10, and the fact that he was still sitting there at number 20, and this was the right move by the Minnesota Wild, Billy Guerin, the general manager, is trying to build something special with the Minnesota Wild. We are still going to see if they can get Kirill Kaprizov under contract. They could try and get him to a long-term contract extension. So that's something that is remained to be seen with this upcoming offseason. Number 21. After the Minnesota Wild, Jesper Wallstedt picked goalie from Lula, the Boston Bruins select Wallstedt's teammate, Fabian Lysell, right winger from Lula. So I know the Boston Bruins have been struggling with draft picks in the past. They need to start hitting their draft picks because guys like Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron are not going to be there forever. And you just re-signed Taylor Hall to a 4-year deal worth $6 million a season. So that's actually a nice bargain for the Boston Bruins. Number 22. And also, Boston's got Charlie McAvoy in the back end. Number 22, the Edmonton Oilers. They select Xavier Bourgault, a centerman from Shawinigan. Number 23, to the Dallas Stars, Wyatt Johnson, the center from Windsor. They usually draft pretty well, even though they have been drafted later in the first rounds. Number 24 to the Florida Panthers, Maki Samskevich, right winger from Chicago. Number 25, Columbus Blue Jackets, Corson Ceulemans, defenseman from Brooks. And I know there were some mock drafts that were having him in the mid-first round. So the Columbus Blue Jackets, if I were to give a grade on them, they would probably get an A to an A+. They did a great job scouting this draft. And you want to know who's in the Columbus Blue Jackets front office now that was probably scouting these players, the 3 first-round picks that they scouted? John Davidson, who used to be in the New York Rangers front office, and I know New York Rangers fans are so they're really, really disappointed right now. Some people think Chris Drury is going to destroy the New York Rangers rebuild, and Davidson, who is now in Columbus, was the same guy that had 3 first-round picks with the New York Rangers a few years ago. And I thought it's fascinating because he knows how to, has an eye for talent. So wouldn't it be funny if Davidson drafted more correct guys for Columbus and the Columbus did a rebuild more faster than the Rangers? Because, oh yeah, the Columbus Blue Jackets don't have an owner in James Dolan, unlike the New York Rangers. Well, I know how they feel about that. Number 26, Minnesota Wild, Carson Lambos, defenseman, Winnipeg, another genius pick by general manager Billy Guerin. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but back in 2017, in the Wilkes-Barre area, where they were showing the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy and the other trophies, so I happened to run into Bill Guerin that day, and I actually have a photo with him. So I don't know if y'all knew that or not. I just wanted to give you guys that information. So now number 27 in the Nashville Predators, Zachary Leheroux, left winger, Halifax. Another good pick by Nashville. They need offense, and they don't have enough of it. Number 28, Colorado Avalanche, Oscar Alusin, right winger, HV71. Number 29, New Jersey Devils. This was from the New York Islanders. Chase Stillman, right winger, Sudbury. Number 30, Vegas Golden Knights. Zach Dean, centerman, Gatineau. And this is what Cody Jensen was talking about from the World Hockey Report, that the Vegas Golden Knights need centermen. And hey, they drafted one. They listened to you, Cody. That they need depth across the centerman position. Number 31, Montreal Canadiens, Logan Malou, defenseman from London. And number 32 to the Chicago Blackhawks, Nolan Allen, defenseman, Prince Albert. So now let's get into some of these NHL trades here that happened over the weekend. And the thing is, expect more trades. And free agency begins this Wednesday, starting at noon Eastern time. So obviously, I'll share my thoughts with free agency in this upcoming show on Thursday. But for now, let's get into my inside takes about the trades that transpired this past weekend. Let's start with trade number 1. The Philadelphia Flyers acquired defenseman Rasmus Lindstrom from the Buffalo Sabres for Robert Hagg, the first-round pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, and a 2023 second-round pick. I thought the Flyers addressed that they need to upgrade on defense. At the same time, they may have overpaid for Rasmus Ristolainen because the advanced statistics show that Ristolainen is not the defenseman that people make him out to be. Or there's always that or when it comes to a trade. That is it that the Buffalo Sabres are so bad that he just needed a change of scenery. Because it happens a lot of the time. It's not that the player stinks from the SNK. It's that the fact the player just needs a new change of scenery. What about the next trade? The Chicago Blackhawks acquired defenseman Seth Jones, who also happened to sign a 7-year deal worth $9.5 million each season from the Columbus Blue Jackets for defenseman Adam Boqvist and draft picks. It was an interesting trade for Chicago. Jones is an upgrade over Boqvist. Giving up draft picks for Seth Jones is okay. Here's the win for Chicago, and here's the loss for Chicago. The win for Chicago is there were rumors floating around that they were actually going to have to give up Alex DeBrincat to Columbus, but that did not happen, which is a win for Chicago. Here's the loss for Chicago. You're going to pay Seth Jones that kind of money after you just traded away Duncan Keith to the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I'm not saying that Seth Jones doesn't deserve a big contract, which he does. And I agree with the World Hockey Report again that he's not $9.5 million. He is worth $7 million. That he's worth. So we'll see where this goes for general manager Stan Bowman. I've been very critical of him simply because I felt like he destroyed the Chicago Blackhawks in terms of I didn't think they deserved to fire Joel Quenneville, but now he's going to be thriving and has changed the culture with the Florida Panthers. So that is something to keep an eye on. And also, Caleb Jones, Seth Jones' brother, are reunited in Chicago with each other after Caleb Jones was drafted by Chicago this weekend. The Philadelphia Flyers also acquired forward Cam Atkinson from the Columbus Blue Jackets for forward Jakub Voracek. So Cam Atkinson was the Harvey and Soul of the Columbus Blue Jackets after they traded away Nick Foligno. And here's the thing about Cam Atkinson. Cam Atkinson is a gritty player. He's very good in the trenches. And he will provide something that the Flyers are missing. Toughness. Flyers do not have enough toughness. Cam Atkinson will bring a tough element to the Philadelphia Flyers. Whether these moves work for the Flyers is something to remain to be seen. But at least they're trying to make some moves. I mean, I think it's a good trade for both sides. And Jakub Voracek gets a fresh start, so does Cam Atkinson. And now here's the last trade that I have to touch up upon. New York Rangers acquired Sammy Blais and a draft pick for the St. Louis Blues from Pavel Buchnevich. That is a terrible trade. What in the high seas are the Rangers doing? You dump Buchnevich for a third or fourth liner? They're trying to be a gritty team after really the New York Islanders and Tom Wilson, the Washington Capitals, broke them? Really? Really? Come on now. What are the New York Rangers doing in this rebuild? All right. Before I move on to my next segment here, get up to a $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag, promo 12 on sports, 12 on sports, quench your sports thirst. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Scoring, 12 on sports, quench your sports thirst, 12 on sports, quench your sports thirst. As I always do on every show, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Cody Jansen, Jamie Beck, Lou Gamelin, Philly Pete, Michael Corvallis, Crazy Corvallis, the AM Drive with Aaron, and everybody else who makes these shows professional and all sorts of other craziness and fun. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into my next segment, I just want to advertise something here for myself quickly. Just about a little bit less than 2 weeks ago, I started my own business, glensprofessional.com. It's my own blog. It's called Glenn's Professional Sports Takes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is $4 to subscribe a month to the best sports content you'll read and know. So, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe today to my business, my new business. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you subscribe, I get paid. So there's that. All right, now let's jump into the next thing over here. Let's now get into some MLB topics. Now, very quickly here, I know some people do not like this. I didn't ask JB Beck about it. I know he's a Cleveland Indians fan. But let's go with this. The Cleveland Indians changed their team name for the 2022 season, and they will be called the Cleveland Guardians. Some people love this team name, and some people absolutely hate this team name. So, I just wanted to give you that quick update on the team name that was announced Thursday or Friday. So now let's get into the MLB standings postseason update. With the trade deadline coming up this Saturday, we will see how each team shakes things up. However, I feel like with 2 months to go in the MLB regular season, I feel like we just need to fast forward to the MLB postseason just in September and jump into October already. Let's take a look at the NL standings. San Diego Padres are number 5. They play the number 4 seed Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 3 seed New York Mets. Number 2 seed Milwaukee Brewers. And number 1 seed San Francisco Giants. Now let's get to the AL standings. Number 5, the Oakland Athletics versus the number 4 Tampa Bay Rays. Number 3, Chicago White Sox versus number 2, the Boston Red Sox. And number 1 seed Houston Astros. So the Houston Astros, even though Houston and Boston has the same record, Houston has by far better run differential, so that's what I did upon for the number 1 seed. So Houston has a much better differential than Boston. I didn't realize that Houston had that big of a run differential. It's like a plus 144 for Houston. Boston's got like a plus 68. And that is by far so much better. And it's by far the best in baseball. The Houston Astros are just quietly under the radar because everyone's talking about Boston Red Sox, Chicago White Sox, Tampa Bay Rays. No one's talking about the Astros in the American League. Everyone's talking about the New York Yankees stink from the S to the K, and I couldn't absolutely love it anymore. The New York Yankees, hopefully they don't make the playoffs, is a complete and utter win in my book because it honestly couldn't happen to a better fan base who absolutely loves to traumatize New York Mets fans for absolute no reason because they feel like they just... You want to know what New York Yankees fans beating up the New York Mets fans are like, traumatizing them? It's like going to a fight. It's like New York Yankee fans, a 6'5" guy going to a fight, going up against a 4'6" guy. You know the 6'5" guy's going to beat the 4'6" guy. It's just that they don't realize they know when to stop, That's the problem with New York Yankees fans. They talk about the past. As Giannis Antetokounmpo's always said, the Archie and soul of the Milwaukee Bucks, he's always said this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, remember when he said that the past is your ego? Well, that's what the New York Yankees fan base is. Their past is their ego. They never look forward to the future. They always just want to say to every fan base, 27 World Series rings, this and that, and the whole 9 yards. And meanwhile, why don't you traumatize Boston Red Sox fans who are basically more your rival in the Mets? And I honestly thought I'd never see the day where I can actually respect Philadelphia Phillies fans, can actually have a logical baseball conversation with them first and foremost, because I remember talking to one this morning saying I feel safer wearing Mets gear at Citizens Bank Park than I would in Yankee Stadium. And no, I'm probably not making that stuff up. It would just absolutely cringe Yankees fans if the Mets won the World Series. Oh, please let it happen. They would just continue to traumatize us, but that's fine. They could just live in their gloating glory. They could just focus and sleep on their past. That's fine. That's fine. They're going to probably be sellers at the trade deadline anyways. There's lots of problems with them. Why don't you focus on your own problems instead of picking on other fans of your team? And why do you feel like you're just entitled to everything in baseball and think you invented a dang sport where in reality you simply did not? So now let's get into what actually happened at the MLB trade deadline. Here we go. So the San Diego Padres are acquiring second baseman outfielder Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He is 29 years old. In 97 games this season with the Pittsburgh Pirates, his batting average was .327 with 4 home runs and 32 RBIs along with 5 stolen bases and been caught stealing 4 times. Frazier has a .392 on-base percentage, a .453 slugging percentage, and an .844 OPS, along with a 3.1 wins above replacement. Here are the other names to keep an eye on this week at the trade deadline. Chicago Cubs third baseman Chris Bryant, shortstop second baseman Javi Baez, first baseman Anthony Rizzo, starting pitcher Kyle Hendricks, and relief pitcher Craig Kimbrell, all for the Chicago Cubs, a team that is looking to completely sell and replenish its farm, knowing they got to start over and become the lovable losers again. Sorry, Cody Janssen. Minnesota Twins starting pitcher Jose Barreros. That is another name to keep an eye on. Team that needs help starting pitching. Now let's get into the next one with the Washington Nationals starting pitcher Max Scherzer. Here are the trade odds according to BetOnline. I found this morning. Although it's most likely not going to happen because it's within the National League East, New York Mets have a 3-1 odds, the favorite odds to land them. Los Angeles Dodgers are next 7-2. Milwaukee Brewers 15-4. New York Yankees 9-2. Not happening. Just please cross it off the list and get it out of my sight. Houston Astros 5-1. Boston Red Sox 6-1. Oakland A's 7-1. Putting money on it, circle the Red Sox all the way. Number 1, I'm not in love with the Red Sox starting rotation. That is not fiction, that's a fact. They have gotten through this because of great managing, offense, and a great bullpen. Yeah, are they going to rely on Chris Sale to be back in himself after rehab, basically not pitching for 2 years? We'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm just going to see how that's going to potentially go here for the Boston Red Sox. So I just think that the trade deadline is going to be something spectacular and something very interesting to keep an eye on here coming up. Now, get up to a $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag, promo 12-ounce sports, 12-ounce sports, quench your sports thirst. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, 12-ounce sports, quench your sports thirst, and 12-ounce sports, quench your sports thirst. And ladies and gentlemen, don't miss it on Friday. If you missed my new show with Michael Corvallis on Fridays, Sports War Mike plus Glenn, and JB Beck as the producer, I could not have been more thrilled with how it went. And Cody Jansen, Lou Gamblin, and Philly Pete's comments during the show were absolutely funny. I mean, I just can't wait for it. I love debating Mike because, listen, ladies and gentlemen, he thinks he's always right. And I know I lost some points on Friday, but I was able to come back. I was down by 5 points with 18 minutes left and came back to win. And I couldn't believe I stumped Michael Corvallis on the whole USA's women's soccer question. Thank you, JB Beck, for that question. Thank you, JB Beck. Please, I should ask you, message you this week what the secret surprise question is going to be so I can have notes on it and basically stop Mike on the ground and potentially go 2-0 on the week. I don't know if Mike's watching this show right now. No, I think he's probably got better things to do than watch my show right now. He's probably napping right now, probably not listening anything to my show. He's probably dreaming about finding a way to beat me. Although that probably will not happen anytime soon. And if it does happen anytime soon, I'll just blame it on Beck probably fixing the score for Mike or something, just for all fun and games. So, I couldn't thank Jamie Beck and Cody Jansen enough for setting this whole thing up. And it just gives me laughs anytime I go back to that win on Friday. But hopefully, should I give a Charles Barkley guarantee right now? Nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to commercial break. I'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am now back. So let's now get into some NFL topics for the final 20 minutes of today's show. Let's start off with the first topic for this final 20 minutes of today's show, a little bit less. Aaron Rodgers, and Davante Adams are they potentially both out with the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers this week starts training camp. It appears as if there's no sign of him coming anytime soon. Aaron Rodgers has expressed his frustration with the front office time and time again. There's no way he's going to finish his career with the Green Bay Packers. Now here's a couple of questions for my audience. Number one, is it possible that Aaron Rodgers pulls an Andrew Luck and abruptly retires a couple weeks before the season? Knowing the way how stubborn he can be sometimes, it is a very quite possibility that could potentially happen. So I wouldn't put past against it that Rodgers retires. Number two, I think he could potentially sit out a year and become a free agent and choose his destination as he chooses to please and win the Super Bowl elsewhere, just like what Tom Brady did his first year with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll get to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a few minutes. So Aaron Rodgers wants to win another Super Bowl. It's not going to be with the Green Bay Packers. Remember when Brett Favre left after 16 years and went to New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings? How about this? Also, Davante Adams doesn't want a new contract extension now. With the Green Bay Packers, he's in the final year of his deal too. Want to know where everyone's linking him to play after this season? With the Las Vegas Raiders to reunite with former college teammate, Fresno State quarterback, Derek Carr. That is a very much like possibility, and I've heard nothing else on the matter. It's Davante Adams either playing with Green Bay in his future or the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't see him going anywhere else. Now, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. I remember back in 2015, remember they had Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb? Davante Adams was like a first or second year pro. Adams couldn't catch anything. I'm like, they're going to cut this guy. He's one of the worst receivers in the league. This guy's not going to last the NFL long. Well, I have to eat my own words. My brother Jacob always loves to bust me about how wrong I've always been about Davante Adams. Now, I know Green Bay Packers fans are in complete and utter shambles with this situation. And now there are also other players that have expressed their current frustration with the Green Bay Packers front office. So there is an organizational problem, and this is what happens when you don't have an owner. But then yet there are teams that have owners and still have dysfunction. It's just a matter of how business is conducted and run, and how you feel and appreciate it in a business goes a very, very, very long way. That is not fiction. That is a fact. Ask any businessman if they would want to be appreciated by their own business for after working 16 years for them. And then if they don't give you some sort of raise or the kind of respect, you're just going to leave and try and bolt elsewhere. This is exactly like what Aaron Rodgers is doing here. It's not about the money. It's about showing, feeling loved, and respected. If I was Aaron Rodgers, he should just be the permanent host of Jeopardy. I mean, he's engaged to Shailene Woodley and all, and I mean, what else does he really have to prove in his NFL career? Only thing he wants to play for at this point is to win at least one more Super Bowl. It's not, he doesn't want to win another MVP award. He doesn't want to break the touchdown record in the regular season or the touchdown to interception ratio or passing yard record, yards. He doesn't want any of that nonsense. What he wants is another ring on his finger to even cement more his legacy. See, like, hey, Aaron Rodgers wants to prove that this wasn't my fault. Aaron Rodgers wants to prove one thing and one thing only if he leaves the Green Bay Packers. That it was not my fault that we lost. And I know people are always going to put the blame on the quarterback when they lose because that's a tough business. As Boston Bruins forward Brad Marchand as once said during the Boston Bruins exit meetings after they lost 6 games to the New York Islanders, he said, it's like a quarterback's like being a goalie. It's a tough job. You get all the praise when you win, and you get all the blame when you lose. There's nothing fictional here. It's all factual. It goes the case in hockey. You can always blame the goalie when you lose, and in football, you can always blame the quarterback when you lose. So that's what you sign up for when it comes to this stuff. So now let me transition to this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, will they repeat as Super Bowl champions? Now, I touched base upon this on Friday's show with Michael Corvallis. I know how Michael Corvallis could be, and I know how critical he is of Tom Brady. Tom Brady can't even throw the football 5 yards. But you don't want to know what I said? Can you throw 5 stinking yards with having 5 offensive linemen protecting you and 11 guys on defense? No. That's what I said. It's hard to play in the NFL. And I know he had all those turnovers, but the defense won those championships. This year, here's what I feel about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are returning all 22 starters. Now, that's pretty impressive. After a Super Bowl year and in a league with a salary cap era to do such a thing. What I've always mentioned on every single show that I talk about, when people talk about repeating, here's what the dangerous game always falls upon. And I'm going to give you 2 scenarios why this is dangerous. What is dangerous? When people say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming off a Super Bowl year, is going to be better this year than the last year. Can I give you 2 instances why it's dangerous to say this? Let's go to instance number 1. Let's go to the 2007 New York Giants, who went 10-6 during the regular season and beat the 18-0 New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. They were the 5 seed in the NFC. What happened the next year? They were better. Everyone said, oh, this team is better this year than they were last year. They went 12-4, got the number 1 seed in the NFC, beat the Carolina Panthers in a key pivotal game to get the number 1 seed. But literally and figuratively, wide receiver Plaxico Burress literally shot himself in the foot, couldn't come back, and it cost the New York Giants a chance to go back-to-back. Not if they would have. They would have gone back-to-back. And I know how sensitive Pittsburgh Steelers fans get about that. So that New York Giants team was better, but they didn't win. Let's go to instance number 2. Remember when the Green Bay Packers were the number 6 seed? And then went 10-6 also in the regular season. They defeated the Philadelphia Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears, Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl. That's what they did. The next year, they go 15-1. They break all sorts of offensive records during the regular season. What happened to them in the playoffs? They lost to the New York Giants. And the Giants won the Super Bowl a second time against New England Patriots. So it's not about if you're better the next year or not. you can always run into the very odd team. Wouldn't that be something where I said always better the next year? If the Giants were the ones that knocked out the Buccaneers, then that's probably not going to happen. But I guess it is what it is. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will probably dominate the NFC during the regular season. But it's going to be a matter of what actually happens come playoff time. The best team that I think that can knock out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the San Francisco 49ers. Don't forget they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. How elite their defense is. Even though you lose defense coordinator Robert Saleh, you still have Nick Bosa at defensive end and Fred Warner linebacker. You can still run plays with misdirection, all this other stuff in Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme. You do realize that, right? So I just wanted to make sure you guys paying attention. So with 9 minutes left, a little bit less than 9 minutes left on the show, I actually covered all the topics on today's show. But now I'm going to play this game with you all. Let's go. I'm going to give a random number of over-under wins. I didn't look at any Vegas line or anything. Since I have 8 minutes, I just randomly thought of this at the top of my head. Let's start with the NFC East. New York Giants, over under 7 wins. Number 1, let me go with over. First of all, they're going to be much better on defense this year. I expect Daniel Jones to pop, and I think they could potentially win the NFC East. Let's go with team number 2 in the Washington football team, over under 7 wins. Once again, I'm going to go over 7 wins. Washington is going to be elite defensively with Chase Young. I expect them to be better offensively with Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, and Logan Thomas on the offensive side of the football. Now let's go to the Dallas Cowboys. Over under 9 wins. This one's tough. I may have to call it even to be safe. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be very good offensively. I'm not sure how they're going to be defensively. Let's go now to the Philadelphia Eagles. Over under 6 wins for the Eagles. I got to go under. First of all, they're by far the worst team in the NFC East. I could very well see the Eagles going 0-6 in division play. They have a tough schedule, and Jalen Hurts is not the answer. And I think Nick Sirianni is going to have a potentially very short leash with that Philadelphia media market that is a completely and utterly brutal media market to deal with. Now let's go to the AFC East. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins. Over under 8 wins. I'm going over. Yeah, I know there are lots of questions about Tua Tagovailoa at the quarterback position. But they're stout on defense. They have skilled players. They drafted Jalen Waddle. And I expect them to be a wild card team in the AFC this year. How about the Buffalo Bills? Over under 11 wins. I'm going to be safe to call it even for now. The Buffalo Bills. I believe they have a tough schedule to start. I think they're going to get off to a slow start. But then when November, December roll around, I think they're just going to be on their game at the top of their game. I could see Josh Allen getting off to a little bit slow start, but I think then he's going to pick it up. How about the New England Patriots over under 10 wins? Let's go with under 10 wins. Number 1, the days of Bill Belichick seeing the playoffs in the NFL are over. He's not even the second best team in his division. If the New York Jets surprise people this year, then the New England Patriots may finish last. Yeah, they have people returning, and yeah, they did go 7-9 with in the coronavirus season with all the injuries and people that opted out. But at the same time, Cam Newton, Mac Jones at quarterback, that's kind of a tough sell for me. Now let's go to the New York Jets over under 5 wins. I'll go over just by 1. I think they're going to show lots of flashes and potential this year. I think Robert Saleh, I don't think their goal is going to be to make the playoffs. I think he's going to do what Joe Judge did in year 1 with the New York Giants. Trying to lay a foundation down and change the culture will be an important aspect for the New York Jets. They're going to want to show we are getting better each and every single week. Just like Brian Flores was 2 years ago with the Miami Dolphins, you thought they were going to be the worst team ever until they started to show flashes of potential. They got better each and every week, just like with Joe Judge, the New York Giants last year. And now I think you're going to see that this year with Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. Now let's touch after Flores, Judge, and Saleh. Now let's move on for New York Jets. Let me do the NFC North quickly here. This will be the last one I touch upon for today. See, I only did this just for time basis. So Green Bay Packers over under 10 wins. I'm going under right now. First of all, we don't know if Aaron Rodgers showed up. You think they're going to win 10 games with Jordan Love? I haven't heard anything of him being really spectacular in training camp. This one's for you, Cody Jansen. How about the Chicago Bears? Over under 8 wins. Just a little bit over 8 wins. Enough to win the NFC, potentially win the NFC North. In fact, the Green Bay Packers do not have Aaron Rodgers. I think Justin Fields will be starting for them at some point. I think Chicago fans will want Justin Fields because Andy Dalton's not going to be the answer. I think they want to take their time with Justin Fields, but I think Andy Dalton's going to have some poor play early on in the season. So you're not going to see Andy Dalton much, and you will see Justin Fields. So now the Minnesota Vikings over under 7 wins. I'll call it even. I think the Minnesota Vikings defense is a question mark. Kirk Cousins is good offensively. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Ernst Smith Jr. But I wonder if the message is kind of wearing out a little bit with Mike Zimmer. And lastly but not least, Lou Gamelin's Detroit Lions. Over under 4 wins. I'll go a little bit over. I'll go with 6 or 7. Remember when Dan Campbell said they're going to try and bite some kneecaps off? Well, they're going to be biting their own kneecaps off when they're going to start losing a bunch of games. I know Campbell's trying to act all like a tough guy and whatever. So we'll see what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and week as well. I will be back on the air at the same time as Thursday. I'm going over NHL free agency, NBA draft, mock draft, and I'm going to have, because of the Olympics, I'm going to have a special NHL Beijing Olympics roster potential preview. So keep an eye out on that one. Get up to a $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag, promo Talent Sports, 12 Sports Quenches Sports First. We were live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Code, 12 Sports Quenches Sports First, 12 Sports Quenches Sports First. Have a wonderful day, everyone.